The world was frozen. Glaciers stretched across continents, burying forests and mountains beneath walls of ice. Volcanoes darkened the skies with ash. The air was thick with cold, and the oceans receded into frozen deserts. This was Earth during the last ice age, a planet on the brink of extinction. Most species didn't survive, but one kind of human did. Long before civilization, before language or cities, a forgotten species walked this frozen world. They hunted in blizzards, carved tools from bone, and built fires in the dark. They weren't Neanderthals or Homo Sapiens, but something else, built for survival where life itself barely existed. They lived through an age when every day was a battle against ice, hunger, and extinction. While countless others vanished, they endured, thriving in places no other human could. Through glacial winters, catastrophic floods, and violent volcanic events that reshaped the planet again and again. But then, they disappeared. Their world melted away. And for tens of thousands of years, humanity forgot they had ever existed. No myths, no stories, no names remembered, just fragments, a bone, a tooth, a single strand of DNA buried in ice. And for the longest time, those fragments were all we thought they left behind. A lost branch of humanity, sealed in the past and cut off from everything that came after. But a recent genetic breakthrough revealed something far stranger. They didn't vanish completely. A piece of them survived, not in ruins or artifacts, but in us. Scientists discovered that one of the traits early humans needed to survive the most brutal environments on Earth, including the crossing into the Americas, wasn't invented by Homo sapiens at all. It was inherited, a biological gift from a people we barely knew existed. Who were these humans? How did they survive what others couldn't? And how did their genes end up inside us after they disappeared? They left behind no cities, no written stories, no monuments, only the faintest traces of their world. Yet those traces would shape the future of our own species. And to understand how that happened, we have to go back, to meet the lost humans whose DNA still lives inside us. These are the Denisovans. The Denisovans emerged in one of the most unstable chapters of Earth's history. They lived from at least 300,000 years ago until as recently as 30,000 or 40,000 years ago, overlapping with both Neanderthals and the first Homo Sapiens. The planet they called home was volatile and unforgiving. Vast ice sheets advanced and retreated in cycles that wiped out entire ecosystems. Forests turned to deserts. Floods swallowed coastlines. Volcanoes erupted with such force that sunlight vanished for months at a time. For most life, these conditions meant extinction. For the Denisovans, it was simply life. But they didn't just survive, they thrived. Fossil and genetic evidence show they spread across an enormous range, from the icy mountain caves of Siberia to the tropical forests of Southeast Asia. No other human species matched their reach, from Siberia's mountains to tropical shores. In the north, they hunted mammoth and woolly rhinoceros across frozen plains. In the south, they lived among rainforests and coastlines, where they would have fished, foraged, and crafted tools from stone and bone. Archaeological and DNA evidence confirms they were a sister species to the Neanderthals, splitting from a shared ancestor roughly 500,000 years ago. But unlike their Western relatives, the Denisovans seem to evolve for extremes. Protein and genome studies reveal adaptations for cold resistance, oxygen regulation, and immune strength unmatched by any other human species. Generation after generation, the world tried to erase them, and every time, they adapted. Their endurance was unmatched, their resilience written directly into their DNA. But for a species that conquered the impossible and endured for hundreds of thousands of years, they vanished almost without a trace. It began in 2008, deep in the Altai Mountains of southern Siberia. The region is one of the most remote on Earth, a frozen maze of valleys and cliffs untouched for tens of thousands of years. Inside one of them, known as Denisova Cave, a team of Russian archaeologists uncovered a small fragment of bone. It was smooth, almost featureless, and barely larger than a coin. They cataloged it, stored it, and assumed it belonged to a Neanderthal. But they were wrong. That tiny fragment would rewrite everything we thought we knew about human history. The bone was sent to the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Leipzig, Germany, where geneticist Svante Pääbo and his team began the painstaking process of sequencing its DNA. It took months of work. Ancient DNA is fragile, degraded by time, but when the first results came back, they didn't match anything in the global database. It wasn't Neanderthal. It wasn't modern human. It was something else entirely, a new species. In the years that followed, more evidence surfaced. A molar the size of a thumb was unearthed, its roots thick and strong, unlike anything found in Homo sapiens. A fragment of skull revealed unusually dense bone, suggesting a powerful build suited for extreme climates. And far from Siberia, a 160,000-year-old jawbone discovered on the Tibetan Plateau proved the Denisovans had adapted to some of the highest altitudes on Earth long before modern humans ever ventured there. The DNA from these remains revealed secrets fossils never could. Denisovans carried genes for oxygen regulation, the same ones later found in modern Tibetans, allowing them to thrive in thin air. Their genome also contained traces of interbreeding with both humans and Neanderthals, suggesting a complex network of contact and coexistence stretching across continents. Even the sediments of the Denisova cave itself held traces of overlapping species, Neanderthals, humans, and Denisovans living in the same layers of time. It started with a fragment of bone, smaller than a coin, that rewrote the story of humanity. But their DNA didn't just tell us who they were, it revealed how they survived. And what scientists found inside their genome may explain why they lasted so long in a world that killed everything else. It was a biological blueprint built entirely for endurance. Their genome revealed traits found in no other human lineage, adaptations that let them survive where others perished. These weren't coincidences or random mutations. They were the result of hundreds of thousands of years of evolution under pressure, a survival code refined through catastrophe. They carried genes linked to high-altitude survival and cold resistance. Their DNA also carried powerful immune system adaptations, sequences linked to resistance against pathogens that thrived in cold and decaying environments. Combined with metabolic efficiency built for scarcity, the Denisovans could endure starvation, freezing temperatures, and environmental challenges. And when they finally vanished, those lessons didn't vanish with them. They lived on, in fragments, buried within our own DNA. Genetic studies revealed that some of these Denisovan adaptations had already crossed into Homo sapiens through interbreeding. But for years, scientists didn't know which gene made the difference. No one knew what specific code gave our ancestors the resilience to push beyond the Ice Age and spread into every corner of the planet. Until now, because hidden deep within their genome was something extraordinary. A genetic inheritance so powerful that even today, a few rare humans still carry it. And just weeks ago, scientists finally found it. Buried inside our genome was a recurring Denisovan signature, embedded within one specific gene, MUC19. This gene is responsible for producing and maintaining the body's mucosal barriers, the thin protective linings in our mouths, lungs, and digestive systems. These barriers are the first line of defense against infection, the biological shields that stand between life and death in a world filled with pathogens. What shocked scientists was that the Denisovan version of this gene wasn't just different, it was stronger, more active, more efficient, and better equipped to defend the body under extreme stress. The ancient variant appeared repeatedly in Ice Age-era DNA from across Asia, and remarkably, it still exists today in a small number of people, particularly among certain indigenous groups in the Americas. For the first time in history, scientists could confirm that an extinct human species had passed down a working biological defense system. The Denisovans are gone, but their genes remain, still performing the same role they did 40,000 years ago. It's one of the most important discoveries in modern genetics. But to fully understand what this means, we need to trace how this ancient inheritance shaped our species and how it may have saved humanity itself. 50,000 years ago, the world was locked in ice. It was during this time that modern humans began pushing east, small groups of explorers leaving Africa, chasing the horizon into a world few could endure. They were stepping into the unknown, but out there, in the frozen heart of Asia, they weren't alone. The Denisovans ruled these lands long before we arrived. To them, this Ice Age wasteland wasn't a death sentence. It was home. When the two species met, it must have been an encounter unlike anything in prehistory. Two intelligent humans, separated by evolution, standing face to face for the first time. The Denisovans, masters of the ice. The Homo Sapiens, masters of fire, both aware of the other, both fighting the same battle against extinction. At first, they may have been rivals, but the harshness of the Ice Age had a way of forcing unlikely alliances. Over time, competition turned into contact, and that contact became something more. They shared more than knowledge. They shared blood. Interbreeding began, and through it, a genetic exchange unlike anything in history. The children born from those unions carried the combined strength of two human worlds. Hidden in their DNA was something remarkable, a Denisovan gene that fortified the body's natural defenses, protecting against infection, cold, and disease. Across Siberia, Southeast Asia, and beyond, the traces of this meeting remain written in our blood. Then, 20,000 years ago, sea levels dropped more than 100 meters, exposing a frozen corridor of land between Asia and North America, the Bering Land Bridge. It was an icy wilderness swept by relentless winds, where temperatures plunged far below freezing and the horizon itself seemed endless. Yet somehow, against all odds, a small population of humans prepared to cross it. The crossing of the Bering Land Bridge was one of the most dangerous migrations in human history. There were no shelters, no maps, no guarantees of survival. They faced starvation, frostbite, and death with every step, moving through blizzards that could erase entire groups overnight. But these were not ordinary people. They were the descendants of those who had once met the Denisovans, carrying fragments of their DNA deep within them. Among those fragments was a single variation that may have made the difference between life and death, the Denisovan MUC19 gene. These travelers were walking survivors of an ancient merger. A single strand of DNA, inherited from a vanished species, may have been the key that unlocked an entire continent. Migration models suggest that as small groups crossed the land bridge, the benefits of that gene became even more pronounced. In these isolated populations, the trait spread rapidly, strengthening each generation as they advanced deeper into the unknown. Today, the Denisovan variant of the MUC19 gene still exists, faint but measurable, hidden in the DNA of a small percentage of modern humans. For geneticists, it's a living connection to a species that disappeared 30,000 years ago. Most of us don't carry it, but a few still do, and it's still active. To this day, the ancient MUC19 variant enhances the body's mucosal barriers, guards against respiratory and digestive infections, and may even provide resistance to chronic illnesses. Subtle, silent, but real. These are the same biological defenses that once helped our ancestors survive freezing winds, starvation, and disease on the edge of extinction. And MUC19 is just one Denisovan gift. Researchers are still uncovering others that might be within us today. Now it's your turn. We want to hear what you have to say about this discovery. Leave your thoughts in the comments below and tell us what you think it means for our species. Make sure you're subscribed for more deep dives into the mysteries of our ancient past, and check out our other videos to explore the secrets humanity was never meant to forget. And until next time, as always, stay curious.